Back to our lead story this morning, and Zuma's former president Jacob Zuma's arms deal case back in court for pre-trial arrangements. And I want to welcome to the program Kenneth Mokgathle, a political analyst, to talk to us about this. Good morning and welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your time. The former president faces corruption, fraud, theft and racketeering charges for allegedly taking bribes from French arms manufacturer Thales, who is the second accused in this matter. So, Kenneth, this became a huge story at the time it first emerged. Zuma was first charged with Thales back in 2005. We all know it was later struck from the roll. There were a series of delays. Then in 2007, it was reinstated. 2009, the NPA withdrawing the charges. But those events coincided with big political moments in the country. Zuma in 2007 had just defeated South Africa, our President Thabo Mbeki, to become the ANC leader, and then he was served with prosecution papers for alleged corruption. So the timing of that revelation, hours before he made his first speech to the ANC's national conference as party leader, created a lot of suspicion about a conspiracy to stop him from becoming president at the time. And I thought it would be an interesting history to recount for our viewers as to how the political matters coincided with the beginning of this journey.
Yes, good morning, Iman, and good morning to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. It is quite interesting to look at the timing of all these incidents when it started in 1999 up until today. It is important to note that it started in 1999, 5 years after the ANC had been in power, when they thought that it was important to upscale their military, to buy the whole ships and the whole planes and the armaments that they thought they needed to strengthen their military. But just before it could be taken as the major controversial contract in South Africa's post-apartheid government, it was controversial even before because this is a country which is met by a lot of inequalities, poverty, crime, and all sorts of socio-economic challenges. The government was criticized for its decision to spend more than 30 billion into military, while it ignored the social economic issues that it was facing at the time. And then in the same year, in 1999, the Pan-Africanist Congress Member of Parliament then, Mrs. Patricia de Lille, submitted the dossier of the documents that was revealing corruption that was taking place in the arms deal contract to the SIU. And it was revealing the most senior leaders of the ANC who were involved into this corruption. You'll remember Tony Ngeni, who was also jailed. He spent about 5 months in prison for this. And then you go back and then you say in 2005, as you had mentioned, Mr. Jacob Zuma was then fired by the president of South Africa at the time, Thabo Mbeki, for his involvement into this arms deal. His former financial advisor was imprisoned for 15 years then, before he could be given parole in 2009. An interesting timing also, when Zuma was the president of the ANC and was the president of South Africa, his close ally and his former financial advisor was given a medical parole in 2009. And then in 2007, as you have also mentioned, it was also interesting to note that immediately after he became the president, there was all this sort of play at the NPA, and the decision was taken by the ANC also to dissolve the Scorpion. We know the role that Julius Malema played and the Zuma's ally played to influence the members of parliament, of the ANC in parliament, to make sure that the Scorpion was dissolved. That is why we are where we are regarding the NPA today, because the NPA was compromised then. That is why it is still compromised now, and the current president is trying to rebuild the NPA to be what it used to be during Thabo Mbeki's time. Yeah, so all these times are very important. And then we also know that immediately after he resigned, he was forced to resign in 2008 before he could he could give the State of the Nation address. We know that he did not. The new president then did, Cyril Ramaphosa. We know that 2 months down the line, he was this cases, corruption cases were resuscitated. That is where we are today.
Yeah.
Immediately after he lost his presidency, that's when we started to see the proceedings, the progress into this case, which has lasted for more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
So he has been using all sorts of litigations and legal strategies to delay or to deflect from taking responsibility for his role into the arms deal saga.
Yeah, well, we've got to say alleged role, right? Because the matter still has to go to court and all the evidence has to be tested. But Kenneth, really important as you outlined there, and I thought it was really useful for our viewers to put this in a place, especially for those who, you know, haven't been aware of some of the broader history and the journey that South Africa has been on to here and where this case originated from. So the former president's legal team intends to revive an application to have prosecutor Billy Downer removed from his arms deal corruption case. And we saw Judge Nkosinathi previously denying the application, but Zuma wants that permission to appeal. And this is likely, according to what we're hearing, to trigger another stalling in the matter. You touched on it a little bit now, but your thoughts on his dogged challenge against Downer and the history, actually, of not getting his own legal prayers answered so far?
We should also remind the audience that in all the legal fights or the legal tussles that Mr. Zuma had brought to court, he has failed in all of them. So it is quite clear that he's also going to fail in his attempt to remove Advocate Billy Downer from this case. We know that he has been also during the state capture, he tried to recuse the chairperson of the State Capture Commission, the former Chief Justice Zondo, from presiding over his testimony, and he failed on that regard. So this is his strategy that he always employs to try to depict himself as a victim and to try and sell an idea that there are some people who have personalized his corruption cases, and we have got something to prove. So he wants to say to us that there is something that Billy Downer wants to prove, and then this is not entirely based on facts, and it's more personal. That is why he wants to remove Billy Downer from this case. But we know that it's not only Billy Downer. He had a problem also with previous judges such as Piet Koen and many others previously, whom he knows that is going to delay time. We know that the pre-trial the pre-trial's intention is to prepare for the actual or the main trial, which was set to begin in April 2025. So he knows that when he applies his Stalingrad tactics, it is going to be postponed to probably 2026, so that he cannot be held accountable as he's used to run away from being held accountable. So we will see today how it unfolds, his Stalingrad tactics that he normally employs to try and delay a time for him to be held accountable.
Yeah.